People, the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People 7 on Twitter and YouTube, people elsewhere on the internet. My blog is located at PurpleButterfly-People.blogspot.com. My soaps, PurpleButterfly Soaps, can be located at people.etsy.com. And my t-shirt designs, PurpleButterfly-People.tmail.com. And I'm about to make lotion. And yeah, gotta get that set up so that way I can show you exactly what to do. Yep. And there's a couple of things that you don't do, and I'm going to explain that as well. Yeah. Now, this is usually what I measure my germaban or dermal or optifin or any broad spectrum preservative that I'm going to use. Okie dokie. This is an infusion of safflower, fenugreek, and flaxseed oils. And as you can tell, the ground up flax seeds and fenugreek is at the bottom, and some of it's through the middle. It's been infused and shaken and infused and shaken for the better part of a month. So now basically we just need to extract 2 ounces out of here to go into the base of the lotion. Well, 1.60 ounces of oil, because this is going to be an 8-ounce container of lotion. If I was making a 32-ounce container of lotion, then I would need 6.40 ounces of oil. Yeah. So, that, along with the ewax, we already discussed the ewax. I'm not using stearic acid in this particular batch because this is also going to double as my hair lotion, and I don't use stearic in my hair because even though it makes lotion feel nice and fluffy, it makes your hair feel nice and rough because, well, stearic acid is an acid. Now, one thing that might be problematic, I'm out of bleach. And anytime you clean up for a lotion, you want to use bleach. But what I did instead, I have some Lysol, which actually kills more germs than bleach, but you're supposed to use bleach. And then you follow the bleach with alcohol for anything that needs it. But when you don't have certain things, you improvise certain ways, okay? Now, just like I would normally literally saturate this with bleach water and then completely dry it off with a paper towel, even though that's Lysol, I'm still going to do that. I'm going to dry it off with a paper towel, even though this is not bleach. And I don't like the smell of bleach. I use bleach strictly to clean and sterilize when I'm about to make lotion and so forth and so on. And then I turn around and go behind it with alcohol. And you know what? I like the smell of Lysol even less. Ugh. Now let me go put this on the scale and zero that out. Also called tear. And then I'm going to reach into my pocket over here. This is my germaban. I misplaced this the other day and went on ahead and made a hair product without it. And I figure, hey, if I had to toss the entire container, I will, because I was out of hair gel. And yeah, still smells like that. This is some kind of growth. After half a week, the stuff that I made for my hair without a broad spectrum preservative, it grew some kind of bacterial, viral, whatever, and it's out of here. We don't save that. If something that you made a lotion with or made something with and you didn't use a preservative, or even worse, you thought vitamin E was a preservative, which it isn't, it's an antioxidant, and it does that mold thing or the mildew or the, hey, let's grow some roots, and you know, you do not, once it gets that smell that says, hey, something has, had a party with the oils and nutrients and all that and decided to procreate like gangbusters, once it does that, it makes a smell. Once you see that smell, cap it up, throw it away. It don't matter if you spray it with some more Lysol, some more bleach, whatever, it's gone. It's history. Get it out of your life. Okay? In the meantime, this has already been sterilized along with this because I need an oil phase and a water phase. And then, of course, this has already been sterilized. You just seen me do it. And I always measure my broad span preservative, or BSP, broad spectrum preservative, actually. Always measure that separately. Don't say, oh, well, I know how much is in here. And no, you don't do that. It has to go in its own separate container. Because what if, during the course of this, you added a little bit extra water, or you decided, oh, let me add some oatmeal to that, or, oh, let me add some more glycerin to that, so forth, so on. That's going to change your measurements on how much you need, which means now you have to go and add more. And if you don't know how much you have because you just free-handed it, then you're stuck. Okay? So, and this is the last of this bottle, so basically I'm just measuring how much is left in here. Right now it's at 0.5. I need 0.9, so I'm going to be scraping this or just letting it drip until it finishes, and hopefully, oh, there we go, 0.10. That is enough for this recipe. Yeah. But I'm going to keep squeezing till the rest of it's gone. Let's see. Zero 0.08 BSP. Yeah. So we know we're not going to be making the 32 ounce. But I have enough for the 8 ounce. And then this is going to go on my list of things to buy. Get this. This is by Brambleberry. It's called Germaban 2. Okay? It's a preservative. They also have Optifin, costs more. They have Phenolnip, costs more. If you're just making some lotion for your own personal use, Germaban is good enough, okay? Now, this is how much was in there. That little bit is actually more than enough, okay? I'm going to put this over here. Now, if I was making this lotion for sale or to give away as gifts or whatever, anything outside of the house, then yeah, I would be on my way to Walgreens, Walmart, Kroger's, someplace, and get some Clorox bleach. But since it's just for personal use, that little spray of the, disinfectant spray that kills 99.9% of germs, that's good enough. You know? In the meantime, I need 1.60. Oh, wait. That's the oil measure. For the ewax, I need 0.40 for the ewax. Isn't this adorable? That's my daughter's company. She makes those. God's phenomenal woman. And she says it isn't, but that little face right there looks just like my daughter with my hair. And because of his own little ink pen. So yeah, the first thing I thought of was, hey, I've been meaning to write down that lotion recipe, so that's what I did. This one says thin lotion. This one says thick lotion. This one says original lotion. So yeah. I'm also going to have one of those for my soaps, or maybe a bigger one for my soaps, because I have entire 8.5 by 11 notebooks for my soaps, and I have 9 of them because, well, every recipe has to be written down, even if you have it in a format like the Brambleberry app, which no longer exists because as soon as I got an upgrade on the phone, they took away my app, which is a bummer. So then you have other soap apps, and even if you use SoapCalc or whatever, you want to have that stuff written down somewhere stable, so that way, like, my app went away, but my paperwork stayed the same. Okay? Now, for this, I need 0.40 for the ewax. And that's what the grams converted to ounces equals. Oops, too much. Okay, that was 40. So, yeah. We don't want to say 4.5. There we go. Now, for the amount of lotion we're making, it's kind of funny to think that the thing that makes the lotion, aside from the water and the oil, of course, is this amount of ewax. That's all it is. This is going to the oil face, okay? So, this has to be tiered out. I want that to say 0. Now I'm going to come over here where I got my fenugreek and flaxseed and safflower oil. And just so I don't have a repeat of last time, I also need my strainer. My little strainer, not the big one. But if I can't locate the big one, I will use the really big one. Well, if I can't locate the small one, actually. There we go. Lotion is like the easiest thing you can make, but it's also the most complicated thing for the simple fact that there's other rules. Like when I make soap, hey, I got some oils, I got some lye, it goes by this measurement, we put it with this, let's saponify it, let's add some color, or not. Let's add some scent, or not. Hey, let's pour it in the mold, wait 24 hours, you're done. You know? This has to be measured, sterilized, remeasured, so forth and so on. And let's hit tear again, because I just set the strainer directly on top of the spout, So that way when I pour this in there, I don't have to worry about the measurements being off. And by that, I mean this. This literally hooks right there. See? So that way I pour straight through here and it catches anything in there. But this has a certain measurement. So even though the scale was measured at a certain level, when I stuck that on it, the scale went up. So then you hit tear again, so that way you get your measurements right. So now we need to pour 1.6 ounces of this oil in there, or this oil mix rather. And I'm pouring very, very slowly, because since I'm pouring this on top of ewax instead of separately, we don't want to accidentally pour too much of anything. If I pour just a teeny bit too much or a teeny bit too little, it's no big whoop, but it will affect how loose or thick the resulting finished product is, because this is the recipe for my thin lotion. So if I don't pour enough, it's going to be too thick. If I pour too much, it's going to be really, really, really too thin. Okie dokie. Yeah, and those little grains right there would have been in my finished product. That's why anytime there's an infusion, and sometimes I even put a coffee filter there to catch all that, but anytime there's an infusion, you still want to use a strainer. And I still have this much left. Yeah, and then give it a shake and let it infuse some more. So that's going to stay right there for right now, because I'm already sterile and everything, so I'm not going to go put it in my room where I keep that and, you know, so forth and so on. This needs 0.10. That's wrong. That should say 0.16 fragrance oil, because the fragrance oil should be double that of the preservative. So since it's 0.08 for the preservative, is 0.16 for the fragrance oil. But before that, I need to measure the water. 576 ounces of distilled water, because it has a date with the microwave. Yeah. Now, believe it or not, this is going to be the lotion. After we add all this, yeah. So, let's go back to tear. Get this zeroed out all nice and nice. And then, and you notice I repeat the measurement several times, 5.76, because you want this to be very, very specific and exact. 5.76. Oops. Well, that's 5.75. Was one drop. Okie dokie. Now, this I'm going to put some fragrance oil with. And it's not going to be blended together until after it cools down. But in the meantime, that's the water. So, since the water is distilled, which means it's already sterile, which means heating it up is just procedural, but we still have to heat this up. That smells just like fenugreek. It smells good. But I'm still going to put some, I'm thinking almond scent, you know, just so it doesn't drive, oh, say, the bees and the birds and all that wacky when they smell me coming. It's like when I used to use lavender, and then if you was wearing purple anything, you had to fight off the insects because they're going, oh, what smells so good? Hey, that human smells just like a flower. She's purple. She must be a flower. And I'm allergic to bees, so, you know, I learned over the years. Anyway, this I'm going to heat up because you also have to melt the ewax. And then, because it's procedure, I'll heat up, let's see, let's get it 3 minutes, the distilled water. And then, once we put all those together, this has already been sterilized too. But once we put all those together and then take a temperature reading, we'll have to make sure the temperature is under 120. This is 140. Let's see, temperature range below 140 or 60 degrees Celsius. So 140 Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Celsius. If I bring it down to 130, 120, I know it's ready, you know. Anything over 140 will kill that broad spectrum preservative. So then, even if you follow the procedures to make sure that it's in there, you'll have that situation we had with the other bottle with the lotion that had growth. We don't want that. I'll be right back. Actually, I just had a different idea. This was a sample way back when. It's called Baby's Breath. I've never used it. It's kind of growing on me. I figured out when you just put your nose to it, it's a really strong scent. But if you put it with, 8, 10, 20 ounces or something, it's very, very subtle. Almost non-existent, but it smells good. So in the meantime, 0.16 fragrance oil. Let me tear this out. Is at 0.15. I seem to be one off today. Ooh, let me turn off the microwave. That's gonna wait for us because I can smell the fenugreek almost have a burnt scent, which means not only is my ewax completely melted, I knew it would be, but you see that? Yeah, you don't want to burn your essential oils and your essential infusions that you have going through your standard oil. So now we're going to heat up. Oh, I only have 26 seconds left. Well, at least I know 3 minutes is not too long for this endeavor. So we'll start that on another 3 minutes. I'm going to go get my little zapper, which I know is not in here. And not in here. So that means both the spare and the actual are in my soap lab. I'll be right back. Yeah. Let's give that a zap. Wow. That's 303 degrees Fahrenheit. That gotta be wrong. Oh, that's what it says. Apparently certain oils get real hot real quick. So, yeah. That's why I had that burn smell. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do is add some cold water to this situation to cool it down just a little bit. But I need something bigger than that because that will not fit in here. And we don't want it to be in a pot so shallow that when you add water it tilts over. So this will be fine. And as it's getting cooler, the scent of the fenugreek is coming back. Yeah. So. Just letting it sit in there to cool down just a little bit. But by the same token, we can't let it cool too much because then the ewax will solidify all over again, and then we'll have to go through the whole let's heat it up phase all over again. Okay, 3, 2, 1. And that's almost done. So let me go ahead and hook up the stick blender. Wow. That thing really transfers the heat. 190. It's still over 200, but that'll work. Now, I'll just go ahead and pour this on out. Now, I'm making sure that's still in a liquid state. Yeah. Because you always combine the oil, you always combine the water to the oil in lotion. Now, in soaping, it's the other way around. You have oils to start, you add the saponification or the lye water to your oils and blend. So, yeah. That can confuse people if they don't know that going in. So then they're going, well, I was told you always do so-and-so. Yes, that's true. For soap. For lotion, whole different animal. Okie dokie. So, now we're going to take this. I'm trying to get it where the camera's picking it up, but this apparently not going to happen here. Hold on, got an idea. There. Yeah, doesn't matter. You can't see me anyway. Alright, let's see if I tilt this way. Okay. It's not quite in the frame, but it's not going to need to be, just so you know. Oh, let me put this, nope, that's not going to work either. Okay. Let's see how I can do that, because I do want you to be able to see what's going on. Wow. I can clearly smell that fragrance oil now. It's not as obnoxious as I thought. In fact, it's rather pleasant. Let me bring this over. Oh, I see what happened. That actually moved. So even though I moved it where you could see it, it moved itself where you couldn't. So, yeah. Or I can just move this right here. Then move this out the way. Now it's too close. Yeah, so what to do, what to do, what to do. Okay, now, I'll put it right there, yeah. Then we'll move this here so it can't fall over. Or put it right here. There we go. And we'll put this here so you can see. And we're going to need this. Temperature is 153. Temperature is 156.9. Okay. So it came down just enough to do the blending. But before it solidifies, let's get this blended. Okay, this is the oil phase. This is the water phase. As soon as the two of these hit each other, one's going to turn white. Well, because there's going to only be one container now. And then you're going to blend it till it emulsifies. It's going to immediately get clear. Fahrenheit. And you know what? Y'all just watch me make lotion. That's all there is to it. The only other thing is letting it cool down enough to add the broad spectrum preservative and the fragrance. But that's lotion. In the meantime, let's move this out the way. Put this back over there. I'm going to put this in the freezer for like a whole 5 minutes. Not even. Yeah. And that's going into my sterilized pile, so that way when I put it in the soap pot and boil it, because that is a very sturdy pot, not pot, measuring bottle, cup, I can boil it and it doesn't, you know, melt or anything like that. So basically it's perfect for soaping, because if you boil a soap pot to kill the lye, sterilize it, blah blah blah, it's nice if it doesn't, you know, melt. And I've had a couple of soap pots actually do that. The one soap pot here, I kind of like get the water all nice and sudsy, so forth, so on. Dip it in, get some water, scrub it out, because if I leave it in the soap pot, the bottom melts. And that's fine. It's made of plastic. It's not made to, you know, function that way, but yeah. Now, here's the beauty of the broad spectrum preservative mixed with the fragrance oil. It goes in the oil phase, but it's not an oil. If I put it with water, it doesn't float at the top. It just kind of blends. If I put it with oil, it blends. So I'm thinking it's a glycerin or some type of base. Either way, it works. It keeps anything from, you know, growing in your stuff. It keeps mold and bacteria away. It does the job it's supposed to do. Okay, this now says 120. So let's blend it out some more. But I see steam, so I'm thinking that initial temperature reading was just because it came out the freezer. So I'm going to just let this sit for a long time. And then once I'm able to add the broad spectrum preservative, or the BSP, broad spectrum preservative, that's my nickname for it. It's now at 107. Then I will be cleaning up, because I just spilled a little splash of the lotion on the floor. And when that happens, especially when your hands are sterile, this is what you do. You find a spot that you see wherever your spill is, just lay the paper towel over it. That's a visual reminder to walk around it. Walk, step over, don't step on. So that way you don't end up, you know, taking an L going, because you don't want to do that. I do believe this is now warm enough. Oh, and it's getting thicker. Now, I'm balancing with my chin, okay? I don't think I got that kind of balancing skill. 109. So now, we're going to add this, which is both the scent and the broad spectrum preservative. And we're just going to stir it. Kind of smells like a walk through a park. Baby's breath. I'm going to have to remember this scent. It's kind of nice. It's not in your face floral, but yeah, kind of nice. And now we're just going to blend until it thickens. And that might take a while. especially if you get impatient and lift it up and then it's blending and it splashes out. That basically gives me more work to do on the floor of it all because now I got a mop. So I have to remember to turn off the blender when I lift it up to check. Yeah. But also, it's a good thing that I had a little bit extra in there, because as you've seen, I couldn't scrape it or whatever. I was balancing it with something. But that little bit extra that went in there, you know, it still has enough preservative in it to do the job, because I only needed 0.08 and this was 0.1 0.110. And then the fragrance oil, I only needed 0.06, no, 16, 0.16, and I put 0.15 in there. That little 1%, or actually 0.01%, is not going to matter. I can still smell it quite clearly. It's not overpowering. It's not going to change the measurements, you know, of a 8-ounce thing of lotion, because I got 0.001% too little. Especially since something else has 0.002% too much. So it kind of works out. You know, lotion is lotion. It has basic rules, so let's go over the rules. And you'll see why I'm not real concerned over that teeny bit of an error. Okay? Now, when you make lotion, let's move this camera over here. Yeah, that's too much standing for this girl. The sweat is actually in my eyes. There. Now I can read. But anyway, when you make lotion, and this is the recipe for a thin lotion, you're using 75% water, 20% oils, 5% ewax, 1% BSP, which is the broad spectrum preservative. A lot of people just write down preservative, but you know, there's so many preservatives out there that if I don't write BSP, I might go buy some generic preservative that's the wrong type, and then we'll be back with, hey, there's some growth going on in your stuff. We don't do that. This is, you know, safe zone. When I make stuff, I make it well, and I make it within the guidelines that would be acceptable if I was selling it outside the house, even if I'm making it for myself. So, you know, and then if we have a situation like the one I had today where, oops, we're out of bleach, or the bleach is on the floor under the cabinet, now I see it. But either way, because this is a personal product, you know, a little Lysol, that's no big whoop. A little disinfectant of a generic nature, no big whoop. Now, if I was making it to, you know, sell to you, yeah, we'd be doing it by procedure. But anyway, let's go back over the list. For thin lotion, you want 75% water, 20% oils, 5% ewax, 1% BSP, or broad spectrum preservative, 2% fragrance oil, and if you're going to use stearic acid, then the stearic acid will also go in there, half of what the ewax is. So, yeah. So that way, say for instance you're writing down the recipe, if you're using 5% of ewax, you're going to use 5% of the stearic acid, which means if you're using, you already got 5% of the ewax in there, and then you're going to add, you would just add half, that way it blends out to the same measure. So yeah, I even have the way you would do it if you're using the bigger recipe. So it was just easier for me, because this is going to be the base, okay? But it's easier for me to go, okay, I want to make a 8 ounce, or okay, I want to make a 32 ounce. If I was going to make a 12 ounce, I would be using this same formula. But this way, I have some very distinctive measures already down there, so that way I don't have to go, okay, let me take out a calculator and do 10% of this amount, and nobody got time for all that. Sometimes the brain just goes, I need lotion, I need it now, I don't want to think, I just want to look, okay, 5% water, 1% this, or 1 ounce water, this many ounces of that, so forth. So sometimes you just want stuff that, is in a measurement you could deal. And for some reason I have an empty page here. So let's just do that. Okay, for a thick lotion, you want 69 to 70% water, 10% of a hard oil like shea, mango, etc.,